can't eating sugar be part of a balanced, healthy diet if consumed in moderation? I mean, come on. They actually help make healthy foods palatable. Dr. David Katz says that it's a preferred fuel for your brain. And he also mentioned that what's the point of being healthy if you can't really enjoy yourself? And if we go to the Sugar Association and you read on their page regarding cardiovascular disease, it says this: nutritional patterns may play a role in several of these risk factors. However, scientists have heavily debated and not fully settled whether there's evidence for a specific role of carbohydrates or sugar in cardiovascular disease. So this is a really common tactic that the tobacco companies use. All you have to do is put doubt in people's minds. Definitely doubt in this scientific research. I mean, we know that the American Heart Association gets major funding from big food. And we know that the major Dietetic Association, the group that organizes events for dietitians, get major funding to the magnitude of like $23 million. So I have a question. On average, how much sugar do you think a person really consumes? It's 23 teaspoons of sugar. 23 teaspoons of sugar is roughly around a half of a cup of sugar every single day. It's a lot, but is that really all the sugar? Well, there's hidden sugars that I want to make you aware of that a lot of people don't talk about. And what do I mean hidden sugars? Well, this food right here, this has 0 sugars. This one has 0 sugars. This one has 0 sugars. 0 sugars. What about Goldfish? 0 sugars. So that's interesting because that is a good comparison of junk food, ultra-processed food calories, but there's really no sugar in those foods. So why are those so bad? If you take the total carbohydrates and you minus the sugars and you minus the fiber, you're left with what? A starch. That's this stuff right here. And on the glycemic index, this stuff is way, way higher than actual sugar. And when you're talking about starch in these products, you're not talking about like a potato or rice or anything like that. You're talking about maltodextrin or modified food starch or modified corn starch. So in other words, starch has a bigger effect on your blood sugars than actual sugar. If we take a look at the average person's consumption of starch, take a wild guess how much sugar that really is. If you guess 75 teaspoons, you are correct. That is roughly about a cup and a half of sugar every single day from the hidden sugars, from starches. Now, let me just give you another example. I used to consume a much bigger bag of Doritos going through college. And this right here has 11 serving sizes. I'll guarantee no one is going to consume 1/11 of this bag. Cheez-Its, 0 sugar. But if you look at the hidden sugar of starches, it's about 30 teaspoons of sugar. Pringles, this has like 60 teaspoons of hidden sugar as starch, about a cup and a half. Okay, so there's a lot of sugar in a lot of different foods, but what's so bad about this sugar? I mean, sugar is natural, right? Well, at least this sugar is natural. Well, it might be from nature or it might be synthetic, but there's a big difference between actual sugar in the refined form and the sugar in a banana or fruit or other foods. What is the difference? Well, with refined sugar, this is not just empty calories. This is something without nutrients, without antioxidants. It's very, very different than actual fruit. And what people do not realize is that when you try to consume that and use that as fuel, it requires a tremendous amount of nutrition. I'm talking about magnesium, calcium, zinc, B vitamins. And this is really unknown to a lot of people because the biochemistry of your body in your little factories called the mitochondria need nutrients to process that type of fuel. And so if you're chronically consuming that type of fuel, there's only one choice, and that is to deplete your reserves to the point where you don't have any nutrients anymore. Now, there's a backup engine that's outside the mitochondria, but the problem with that is it doesn't produce a lot of energy. It only produces like 2 units of energy called ATP, versus in the mitochondria, you produce like 36 to 38 units of energy or ATP. So now you're running on an old clunky motor and everything starts going downhill because now you don't also have the antioxidants to protect you against all the damage that has occurred in your cells. So this is why we develop chronic diabetes, Alzheimer's, inflammation, skin problems. So we've known this for a very long time. And this is why if you look on the ingredients in some of these foods, you'll see that they're all fortified with nutrients because they know if you're deficient in even one nutrient, you can get a major disease. I mean, just to make a point about that, if you completely block one nutrient, vitamin B3, you will die. What the food manufacturing companies have done is enriched or sprayed a couple of synthetic vitamins, and you might think that might be enough, but it's not even close. Spraying like 7 synthetic vitamins from petroleum is not the same as consuming whole foods, okay? You're not going to get the same nutrition from these junk foods. So this is what I recommend that you do, okay? Number 1, stop eating sugar, but you might not have considered also eliminating starches. And I'm not concerned with you eliminating all the starches from vegetables. I'm talking about the starches from this stuff right here. Because if you did that, what's going to happen is you're going to start to reverse this whole disease cycle. You're going to start to lower the blood sugars. You're going to start to get rid of a fatty liver. You're going to start to cause the body to burn its own fat. And that's called ketosis. Because ketones are a much better fuel for the heart than glucose. And all of a sudden, your body organs start working better and better and better, and your cravings go away, and your mood is elevated. Now, if you haven't seen my other video on sugar that had over 17 million views, I put it up right here. Check it out. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies, with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.